Hi, I'm Allie. Join me as I create this crystal disc bracelet, which can be done with DiscDuos and any 4mm crystal that you want. Remember, if you do need any supplies, go ahead and look below the video. And in the description of the video there, we put links so that way you can get back to our website to get the exact colors used if you want, or to check out your options. Gather up your supplies on your bead on it board, and let's get ready to get started. So to begin our bracelet, you are going to need some supplies, including a DiscDuo, 4mm bicone, 2 11-0 colors, and 1 8-0 color, as well as your clasp. I'm going to be using the size 6 gray Dragonthread, and I have a size 10 needle on the end of about 4.5 feet of thread. Also on the end of thread, I have a stop bead, leaving about a 10-inch tail so I can put my infinite clasp on at the end of my bracelet. I've put on my first of my DiscDuos, and the DiscDuos are actually going to sit as we're building from left to the right with the holes facing up and down. Along the side here of the DiscDuos, you can see it's going to be gold, green, gold when I'm doing it in the Christmassy colors. When we're doing it here in our nice frosty colors, we're going lighter 11, darker 11, lighter 11. You're going to take your needle and thread and go through the second hole of that DiscDuo. See how those beads just kind of cap on the corner then, or on the end? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So always on the sides of the DiscDuo, we're doing 3 11s, lighter, darker, lighter, and back through. Once you decorate the DiscDuos on the side, going from one hole to the other, we are going to go in and we are going to be able to basically advance going through our 11-0 seed beads along the side and going through the DiscDuo once again. Once you're out there, now we get to put on our bicones. Our bicones are going to consist of a nice collection of kind of that frosty look to it. So we're going to be doing a collection of one seed bead, bicone, 3 seed beads, 1 bicone, 1 seed bead. So for mine, I'm going to do one of my frosty color 11s, one of my 4mm crystals, lighter, darker, lighter, just like we did on the top, another 4mm crystal, and another light 11-0 seed bead. From there, we're going to put on our second DiscDuo, and we're going to do the exact same pattern on the opposite side of the DiscDuo. So once again, I want you to add your 11, 4, 3 11s, 1 darker in the middle, another 4, and then another light 11. So back through that second hole that your thread is currently coming out of the DiscDuo. And see how that builds the sides of the piece here, and the colors are just kind of hanging out. What we're going to do is go back around through those beads one more time. I'm going to pull the camera a little closer and show you how we pop in those 8 OC beads. So once we're through that DiscDuo, we are going to go back through the first 11-0 before the crystal, and the 11-0 after the crystal. So what we're always going to be doing is skipping over that darker blue 11-0 seed bead. From here, grab your 8-0, which I'm using a silver color, and thanks to Emily Z in our purchasing team for picking out the colors for me. I'm going to add that 8-0 in, and then we're sewing back through the next 11, crystal 11, as well as through the DiscDuo. Once again, going through 11, crystal 11, exiting before that darker color 11-0, adding an 8-0, and then going back through 11, crystal 11, and through the DiscDuo again. So that second hole of the DiscDuo gets a lot of action going through it, with thread going through 4 times. From here, you can see just that little pop of color, keeping it nice and bright. In the gold and Christmas green color and that lava red, I went in and I used the same color of gold in all of those 3 seed beads. From here, I wanted to get a little bit of pop of color. So now I need to get to that second DiscDuo in order to do the exact same things over and over. I'm going to take my thread and needle through that 11, crystal 11, Once I pop out there, I'm going to go up through that 8/0 seed bead along the side, go down through 11 crystal 11, as well as through the DiscDuo. Once you're out through the DiscDuo, that's when you're going to add those seed beads along the side. Once again, light, dark, light through the DiscDuo. On the opposite side, light, dark, light through the DiscDuo. Getting into adding our bicones, we need to go through those side beads that we just added that are decorating along the DiscDuo. So through the DiscDuo and out. Once we're out the DiscDuo, we are on repeat, going in and doing 11 crystal, 11, 11, 11, crystal 11, going through, adding our next DiscDuo in to create our next link. If you ever have trouble during these videos, you can always go back and rewind to watch that little section again. But as you can see on the sample piece, we're just repeating over and over and over this simple little sweet design, which is actually, if you don't know it, right angle weave. So I'm going to finish up adding a lot more of my frosty sections here, and then we're going to get ready to add our clasp. Once you finish up your design, it's time to put on the clasp. I've already gone ahead and put my tongue of my infinite clasp on the opposite side. So I do need to make sure that I have the infinite clasp facing the correct direction, so when I round it out, it clips closed and the bracelet doesn't have to twist in the middle. So coming out the end here, I make sure that my tongue is facing up on the other side, my clasp is facing up here. I still have to glue my 10mm cab into my infinite clasp, but I'm going to come out of the last DiscDuo, or in this case the first, and I'm adding that same combination of seed beads, 11, 11, 11, with a darker one in the middle. From there, I'm going to sew through my infinite clasp. You can use a wire guard if you want, but the nice thing about the infinite clasps is that that little ring is actually soldered, so your thread's not going to poke out. I have my 11, 11, 11 then again, and I'm going back through that last DiscDuo from the opposite side. What that's going to do then is have that clasp sit right there off the end. And I love that I can match it with the Czech cab that matches exactly to those DiscDuo beads, same finish and all. Every time you put on a clasp or a closure, you want to make sure to reinforce that. So I'm taking my needle and thread back through those beads, at least 2, when you can, 3 times, retracing those steps, giving a nice tight pull. And then you often get to the end of the project and you say, now what? How do I get rid of the thread? So I got rid of the thread down here right next to the DiscDuo. You can't see it at all. After reinforcing the clasp, I'm going back through the little side beads along the DiscDuo. I'm going to go underneath the bridge thread. That thread that basically connects the beads to the bead below, the little seed beads to the bridge thread, and I'm sewing underneath that arch, making a little loop, and I'm going to sew through that loop once, sewing through that loop twice. What that's going to do is a little sewer's knot. I'm going to make sure it's after my seed beads, getting down. See, I'm pulling that really slow so you can see it nice and tight next to the project. Now I'm pulling on the thread, not the needle that's in my hand, the thread, because I don't want to affect any of the thread that's in that needle. Pulling it tight as it rubs against that metal. Going through the DiscDuo then, I'm going to pull that knot, making sure it doesn't go over my beads, into my DiscDuo a little bit, grab my thread burner with my brand new battery, burn that thread off, and burn it down close to the project. The last thing I have to do is glue in my cab to the infinite cab, and I have the bracelet completed. It has a great look to it. It's nice and simple. You could do this as a necklace as well, and it's just a great way to use up some multi-holed beads. You don't have to use DiscDuos. If you use something else, make sure to comment below the video to help out other Potomac beaders that may be watching, and look whether or not you want to do it in frosty colors or even in some holiday colors as well. Thanks so much for joining me in this bracelet. Remember, if you do need any materials, look below the video. There's a link to get back to our website there. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this got a lot of inspiration going in your head, and stay tuned for our next design.